The Wembley experience, the Challenge Cup final experience, was probably different for different people. It certainly was for me. I remember being a young fella growing up and in New Zealand and being woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch the games over here. And I just remember they were absolutely incredible, and they were the things that drove me to want to play in the Challenge Cup final itself. That was the biggest final in the rugby league world, full stop, in the game, and that was something that I wanted to experience. You'd always see those Wembley numbers and you'd be 80,000 people, but I'd never experienced that myself. I'd never been in actually a game like Wembley until I got to Wembley. The busiest game I'd ever played in was, I think, at John Smith Stadium, Galfarm Stadium, McAlpine Stadium it was called back then. And that's when only 3 sides of the stadium was built, so it was down on numbers, and I think there was about 16,000 people to that semi-final that we played against Leeds. So that was the biggest game I'd ever played in. And then come the final, and there was I think it was a sellout stadium. I think it was 80,000 people, and just into that squat little Wembley. But I didn't know what I was getting myself into. First time I got rocked was when we went past Wembley Way, and I'd never seen that amount of people, thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands of people in one line on that Wembley Way. And then you get into the change room and it's all normal, like it would be at a normal game. A little bit bigger was Wembley back in the old days, so this is the old Wembley we're talking about. But you go through your normal pre-game ritual and you get out into the tunnel. And back in those days, Wembley was actually a tunnel. It was a long tunnel as well. And it just felt even longer when you were stood in there for the first time. And I remember walking out, and I'm opposite my opposite captain was Bobby Goulding, and Bobby, a very experienced player, Great Britain international, been there, done that, and been in these situations before. But me, no, very naive. And the second time I got rocked was when I looked from Bobby, looked how confident and comfortable he was, and then I looked up to the end of the tunnel. And at the end of the tunnel, there was just this amazing cacophony of noise coming through this little hole at the end of the tunnel, and you could see how thick the atmosphere was. And that was the first time I went, oh, this is something different. And then I remember we started walking towards the mouth of the tunnel, towards the stadium. And you know the way it is when you're normally home and away in a game of rugby league, you have the home fans, you have the away fans, and the away team goes onto the field first, so you get a half the stadium, or a quarter of the stadium roars, and then the home team comes out and 3/4 of the stadium roars. But this time, both teams enter at the same time, so you get the full stadium impact. So I'm walking towards the mouth of the tunnel. With every step I'm taking, my legs are getting heavier and heavier. I know on this, I think one of the pundits on the commentary said, "Oh, Robbie Paul looks really super confident today." I wasn't. That's not how I felt. My legs felt like lead, and then the closer I got to the mouth of the tunnel, the closer I got to that atmosphere, the closer I got to the stadium bowl itself, the heavier and heavier my legs got. And then the moment before we took the step into the stadium, it was just unreal. Because I walked through the threshold of that tunnel doorway, and what we had was 80,000 people just lose their mind. And it's a weird thing to try and explain. When that amount of people all see the reason why they're there, and they all scream and yell at you all at the same time, you don't just hear that noise, you feel it, all of that. Just imagine 80,000 people screaming and all that atmosphere tumbling down off those terraces, and they just slam into you at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I felt my clothes just pull back. It was absolutely incredible. It was mind-blowing, and I mean it to the extent it was the most euphoric feeling I've ever experienced in my life. It lifted me so high, and all at the same time, the most frightening experience I've ever experienced, because it's kind of part of your subconscious saying you've just entered the biggest thing that you've dreamed of your entire life, and the world is watching you, and that's what it felt like. Electricity just floated all over my skin. My heart was beating at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Adrenaline just coursing through my system, and you know what? For me, I think it was just a little bit overloaded, because I got no memory. I've got no memory of walking out to halfway. I've got no memory of meeting the dignitaries. I've got no memories of any of that stuff up until kickoff. But I'll never ever forget that first step.